Welcome back to Ways to Love Your Money. I have a very special guest here for our next segment, and this is Jonathan Olow. I'm going to let you, he's going to talk to you about what his business is and how his journey with finance has actually made him more successful. So we want to talk a little bit more about ways to love your money, and I want to know how Jonathan loves his money too. So with that said, Jonathan, thank you so much for coming today, and thank you so much for being on the show. I want you to tell us your story about how you basically created your professional organization in real estate and really what that's done for you as an individual and pretty much just what brought you up to this point of your career.
Happy to do that.
Yeah, so thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the name of your company.
Well, it's Jonathan Olow, Inc. It's actually the Olow Real Estate Group. We work for a brokerage called Big Block Realty, so we say we're powered by Big Block, which is our broker.
Okay.
But I've been in real estate for almost 14 years, well, 12 years as an agent, but 20-some years in real estate, buying and selling and flipping in different markets.
So what was your passion that got you into real estate?
The passion that got me into real estate. I think originally it was flipping properties where I actually was hands-on into the property where you built the stairs, the staircases, you did the sheetrocking, you did the mudding, you did all of that, grunt labor work to really, get the house ready. So it gave me a great foundation of what's really involved and how do you work with the trades, because as you get older, your body gets worn down and you don't want to do that work. So, you provide that opportunity and
we kind of say that there's a professional for everything, don't we?
There's a professional for everything, yes, and your body is important to keep healthy and wealthy. And then there's different aspects of where you're going with all that business.
Well, you have a very special way that you work with your clients because you're more of a real estate consultant, not just an agent, not just a broker, but you're a consultant. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I like when I say the word consultant, people kind of shake for a moment, and I kind of explain to them that there is a difference between a real estate agent and a realtor, and people don't know that because people do go to higher levels of education and taking more time for their clients. So as a consultant, I'm really looking at the big picture. Just if they went same way they go to Copia for you for advice, to a doctor, to any other professional. Hopefully they're taking an intake form. I mean, that's a simple term. What is important to you? What's going on in your life? So if I'm working with a buyer or seller, I'm going to know what their end goal is, not just get them to sign a contract and do the deal. So as a consultant, I'm going to ask those thought-provoking questions. We do the same consultation for an $80,000 buyer or a $5 million buyer. It's the same process, and that process works. So. And
can you tell me a little bit more about your process? Because I think the audience would actually like to know about that. Yes, you have a big process, and I think it's actually one more of a money psychology behind it, and it's also about having a leader involved in the transaction versus let's say the prospective buyer or seller getting too involved.
And you're probably leading to that where I become a pilot for somebody. There's the pilot. So people understand what a pilot is. They fly the plane, they get you from point A to point B as smoothly as possible. Yet along the way, there can be what's called turbulence. Things can happen in a transaction. So I like to educate my clients ahead of time of all the things or things that could happen in escrow that could go wrong. Not that I'm a pessimist, but it is letting them know the reality, because a regular real estate agent will just go through the transaction and they'll be reactionary rather than looking down the way. So if I'm representing a buyer and I see some turbulence down the line with the seller, I'm going to make sure that I get that out up front so there's not any expectations or problems that come up later in the escrow. I mean, those could be things from title. It could be things that are in the house. Today, I was actually talking to a client. There's a chairlift in the house. So does that stay with the home, or is it going to be removed? And we don't want to get to day 30 and all of a sudden somebody's like, you just took out that chairlift or the chandelier or whatever it's going to be. So things that most buyers and sellers don't think about, but I've been through so many transactions, I'd rather, make sure that those are taken care of ahead of time. So.
I think your clients really appreciate that, and I think they have over the years. I mean, you've been doing this now 20 years plus probably, but it's really, I think your drive to make sure that the transaction goes as smooth as possible. Because many people kind of go through this situation when they're buying a house or selling a house, or whether it's for them to live in or for them to rent or whatever their goals, dreams, and desires are for that property, but then they get nervous.
Correct.
Oh my gosh, if escrow doesn't go through, oh, if this doesn't get qualified, oh,
What
if this
if?
doesn't get approved. And I think that there's that natural belief, if you will, that something's going to go wrong, but everything's going to go right if you do it the right way. And I think your process actually does bring that.
Yeah, thank you. And back to the pilot analogy, it's I also will let them know is if you're getting on a plane on Southwest here in San Diego and you're going to Vegas and the plane happens to go in the leftward direction rather than the right that it usually goes, you're not going to run up to the the pilots into the cockpit and knock the door down. Well, one, you'll be stopped or tased, but you have to trust that your pilot's going to get you there. We'll communicate. We, let you know what's going on. We help you with the negotiations. You're an active part of this transaction, and that's the other thing I let clients know is you're an active part of it. It's not a passive, process. You have to jump through hoops. You have to do homework, and there's just some things that. I've bought and sold property for myself, and I have to realize that again, because I'll go through that process, and I think, where do I find the time in the day to get this stuff for my, my lender or for my financial coach, Elisabeth? How am I going to find the time? But you got to prioritize because that my job is to keep as much money in your pocket as I can, so then you can invest or buy or whatever you're going to do with your.
Well, and that's important that you say that because what we try to do with our clients, and sometimes we've worked with clients together, we want them to look good on paper so that they can actually go and make that big purchase, because buying a home is probably one of the number one highest costs to them in their situation, in their family life, or in their individual life, however it might be. But you want to make sure that they understand what their money can do, what it can purchase, what can actually acquire for them, but then also not get them over committed.
Correct.
And it's really, we talk a lot about this on the show about being respectful of your money. And can you maybe elaborate how you would help your clients become respectful of their money when it isn't such a big purchase so that they're not overextended? And then in addition, how you have learned how to respect money in your world.
So I really try to make sure that the person is comfortable. And anything that we do in our life, there is going to be a little bit of a risk. So that's something that we'll talk about as well. What is your risk level? If you know you're going to be in that property only for 5 years, then the lender that we're working with, we're going to say, here's a portfolio of options for you. Because if we know you're going to be in that property 7 to 9 years or whatever the amount of time it's going to be, we're going to make sure that we work with all the parties, making sure that you feel comfortable. And again, there is a risk factor in anything that we do. So, if we're keeping as much money in your pocket, or if you know you're going to be doing a remodel, maybe you don't need to do a 30-year loan. So we'll keep you from spending money, doing 2 or 3 loans in 3 years. We can say, just do 1 loan, or here's what we can do to save you money. So we're not just getting the deal done. We're looking at what do you need. And if your plans change along the way, we're always in correspondence, because I do keep in touch with my clients even after the sale. They become part of the family.
That's great.
So.
And I know that goes also back to your process, which is, again, so unique. You being the pilot and piloting the whole process to get them through and to their destination safely and on time and without any kind of problems along the way.
Yes.
So it's all about redundancy, right? Having all those causes and effects working for you. Now, as far as financial concerns and things like this for you in your world, what has been your biggest concerns? Is it about having enough liquid money? Is it about tax mitigation? Is it about being able to accumulate more real estate or even do other investments? Now, what kind of things have really sparked you?
Right now, for me, it's kind of a combination of everything. I have sold a couple of my properties recently, and I have my friends in real estate saying, oh, you're crazy, you should keep it. But again, as I'm talking with my clients to find out what is important to you, having these properties not in my life so I can concentrate on my clients right now for the next 5 to 10 years was important to me, because these other things were sitting on the side, and it was also a time for me. The market's great. So, and again, people will say, well, why did you sell now? Why don't you wait to the height of the market? Well, the height is when it's important to me. So, if you're taking all that information from this chatter from the side, they don't know what's inside of here. So it's the same way I do with my clients. I find out what's in here, not 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I find out what is really important to them. So for me, at this time of my life is, accumulating wealth, looking at, retiring. I would like to do that in 5 to 10 years. But,
Well, if you say it, you got a plan for it, right?
Correct.
So those are always conversations that we love to have too.
Yeah.
But I think in your situation too, it's about finding what makes you feel good, what your personal choice is for when it's the right timing for you to buy or sell real estate, and when to kind of be out of the game. I mean, people will say, gosh, it's the height of the market. Should I be in the game? Well, maybe you can with some, but maybe not all. But it is about quality of life too.
Correct.
So what are your items to say that would be a call to action for people to get more educated about their finances? What would you suggest that they do so that they can actually look better on paper for a purchase or better on paper if they wanted to sell?
Well, I definitely would say is find an educated financial coach. Elisabeth has helped me for 12, 13 years, but that is the most important thing, is to find out what you don't know. Because I think most people come in and they go, well, I don't know what I can afford. Well, I can't
You got to get it all mapped out, right?
help you. So we create that map together, and there's times I've come in with clients of mine, or you have clients, and we sit down together to say, what's important, show me what you can do. Because some clients might be 2 years away, so we may say, okay, great, let's help put you on that path, and it's 2 or 3 years away. Every month, I'll send an email. How's it going? Oh, my car broke down and I have to throw in another $1,000. Okay, let's get back on track to do those things. So I think,
we understand this too, both of us, and other people I've talked to as well, about procrastination. Most people are real big procrastinators about basically taking action for what's really important to them in their finances today. So what I always like to end with is a fun fact. Do you want to give me a fun fact about you? What kind of makes Jonathan tick, and some of the, I guess, the experiences? I know that you're one of 9 children, which is a big family, and mom and dad are still doing great, and they look fabulous. But I know that there's more things that make Jonathan tick too. So whatever you'd like to share, don't feel pressure.
Sure. I love to travel. Don't do as much as I can, but a fun fact is about 5, 6 years ago, I think I left for Florence, Italy, because I had the opportunity, and you knew me at that time, and my colleague friends were going, you're going to kill your business, you're going to kill your business, you're gone. But what I did was I incorporated my daily activities into videos that I send out to my clients, and it really was great, because they're like, oh my God, I'm living vicariously through you. But also when I was there, I was also meeting with people that had real estate for sale, homes that were from the 12 and 1300s. They were doing remodeling, just things like that. So I made it more of it was a personal thing, but it was also a real estate quest.
That's great.
And that, was gone for 3 months, came back, boom, back on track, and, and it was perfect. That was, so I love to travel. It's just one thing in our business. It's like when you go on vacation, business starts happening. So I make sure that I plan trips every 6 weeks or something.
Oh, really? Is that right?
No, I don't yet.
Oh, okay.
I do need to start that and put that in my plan. So even if it's a one-day vacation or you're taking off, but we laugh about it, because when you walk away from something, it happens, and same way in business. So
now we're hearing that we all need to take more vacations.
Plan through Elisabeth.
Yes, plan for your vacation to happen in your world. So thank you so much, Jonathan, for being here on the show for this segment. We're so grateful that you shared so much of your wisdom, and you have so many wonderful qualities that you can share with so many people. And it is about a team environment. It is about a team approach to make sure your goals, dreams, and desires even become stronger for your future. So thank you again for being here. And we're going to close out this section, and we'll come back with our last segment of the day. And again, if you have any questions, please send them to questions@elisabeth.dawson.com. And we also want to talk a little bit, and we'll kind of have a little teaser. It's our book here, Wealth by Design. We'll be talking about this at the next segment as we end our show today. Thanks again for listening. Stay tuned.